Thanks for coming today. Very proud moment for us as a club. We've been working for 5 years to build a soccer club, and today we take the next step in that process as we announce our academy programs that will start in the fall. We're again just super excited to be able to take that next step to develop the youth in our community, because that's the way we think about it. We're a community organization, and we can't wait to start developing the youth on a formal basis. Thank you.
You guys want me to start with a comment, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Look, from before I was actually hired here, the first time on my interview, and I was meeting with John Neese and Tim Lloyd, Brad asked this idea of creating a youth program was part of the interview process, because it was very clear that this was important to the ownership group and important to continue the development of our club. So, as Brad just said, this is a fantastic day. I want to make sure that I give Mario Sanchez a ton of credit. When we brought him here, I knew he was the right person for the community to take this on. He's done a fantastic job. Recently, James O'Connor and Mario have worked extremely hard, and there's so many good initiatives coming out of that work. So, I think we're in great hands, and I look forward to playing whatever role I need to in that process.
Thank you, Coach. James O'Connor.
Well, first I'd like to thank you all for coming here and echo basically what Brad and Hack have said. I think it's a wonderful occasion for the football club. Obviously, part of my role is helping Mario and overseeing the academy, so it's something we're very passionate about. I think it's great from a community standpoint to be able to offer this to the local youth. Having spoken to a lot of the youth organisations, I think there's a real excitement. So I think for us, when we look at it, it's a special day for the football club, and it's one that brings great excitement to me personally, having come through an academy system. I think when you look at the local players already that have participated in the men's team, I think going into the NWSL, as we build out that programme, that's something that we envisage trying to replicate, and moving forward, it will give us enormous pleasure to be able to get boys and girls that have started in our academy and then hopefully gone on and played for the first team on the men's side and then the first team on the women's side. So, thank you.
Up next, Mario Sanchez.
All right, well, good afternoon, and again, thank you all for attending. We really appreciate you guys being here. My name is Mario Sanchez. I'm the Director of Youth Development / Academy Director. And for me and this organization, it's a great day for youth soccer in our area, for boys and girls from all ages, from the little 7, 8-year-olds all the way up to the 18, 19-year-olds, and then moving forward from there, kids who are up to 23 years old. As James has said, as Coach Hack has said, and Brad said, from day one of the things that attracted all of us to this club was the vision of our ownership group to make this a true club. And part of that is obviously the success we've had with the men's first team, and now with the women's team coming along, and the final piece of the puzzle was the youth side of it. And I think it's a really proud day for me personally. I have kids that have grown up and played this wonderful sport, and now to be able to give back to the youth in this community. And around the country right now, soccer is obviously booming, and to have opportunities for these kids to develop here locally, and then one day, ultimately our goal is to see these boys and girls playing for either the men's team or the upcoming women's team would make something very, very special for all of us. And I know for our ownership group, that is ultimately what their goal is to see these kids one day representing us in this beautiful brand new stadium and wearing our colors, whether it's the men's colors or the women's colors. So again, I want to thank all you guys. I want to thank the ownership group, and I want to thank the support of Coach Hack, from James and Brad Estes for supporting this endeavor and really giving opportunities to the kids. And next, I want to introduce one of our first hires for the Youth Academy is Ms. Kristen Wallace, who's going to be our Executive Director. She has a ton of experience in youth sports, This is a really big piece for us because she's going to be kind of the nuts and bolts behind everything. And then as we move forward as an organization, the next upcoming weeks, we'll be hiring staff and announcing further details, including tryouts, the next coming weeks. Thank you.
If I could get the other principals to join up here, and we'll take a photo with.
I guess, and tell me how kids can sign up, how much do you have to pay to be a part of it,
Right.
how it all works.
Yeah, so we'll be announcing the formal trial process. They'll be taking place in middle of May for the younger kids and the older kids in the first week of June. It's an open process. Like this part of the one thing we want to make sure everyone understands is this is open to everybody. It is a tryout, so obviously like any youth sport, you're looking for the best of the best, but it's a completely open process. And we want to make sure that that's clear and open to everybody, that they understand that. The details exactly will be announced in the upcoming weeks. As far as cost goes, we're doing our best to keep costs down. There will be costs associated with it, and again, those details will be announced in the next upcoming weeks.
Obviously, soccer is a huge deal here. We've seen for men and women. How competitive do you think these tryouts are going to be when this is the first year? I know even when we were at Wyandotte Park talking about it, there were people down there talking about they wanted to be involved all the way across the city. I mean, how difficult do you think it's going to be to narrow it down to these teams?
Well, look, we hope it's very difficult. That'd be a great sign for all of us. That we know, again, there's a lot of options and there's a lot of other great clubs in the community, and we would absolutely respect that and the work a lot of clubs have done here locally, and a lot of kids have been produced by the different clubs. What we hope is that the kids and the families see us as a viable option moving forward to help pursue their goals. And again, whether that's the ultimately playing professional soccer, again here for the men and the women, or if that's the collegiate route, what we want to make sure we give the kids is a pathway to help them reach their dreams. And again, as soccer's grown in this country, with the MLS and the other USL and now the NWSL, I think one thing that we're seeing is that there's a huge appetite for kids and for families to have these options that they can pursue. And ultimately, like anything in life, we just want to make sure kids have that ability to pursue their goals, and having it here locally is fantastic. And again, we have the crown jewel right behind us, that I think all the kids would love to, and families see their kids playing there one day.
So how many teams altogether? I'm sorry, I'm so not familiar.
No, this is
with,
great.
like,
Yeah,
soccer
absolutely.
academies and
Yep.
things like that.
Yep. So ultimately, what we're looking to do is 2 teams per an age group, all the way from, again, the little under 8-year-olds, all the way up to U19, and ultimately, be some team around 40, 44 teams. And we want to stress it's going to be the exact same on the boys and the girls side. Also, we will have branding-wise, the girls will be the NWSL Louisville team once that's formally announced, and then the boys side will be the Louisville City FC. So from a branding side of it, it is one organization like it always has been, but the females will wear the colors and they have the name of the upcoming women's team, and then the boys side will be represented just like the Lou City men's team.
Is that everyone practice at the practice facility planned for Champions Park?
Correct. Yeah, that's, that was a huge piece of it. And not only for us, but the soccer community. Anyone who has kids in this community that have played youth sports and played soccer realize, for a lot of different reasons, there's been a, there's a lack of a world-class facility. And now we're going to have that in our own backyard. And, ultimately when that gets opened up, one thing we want to stress is, as well as this club, is that it's going to be a community center field. Ultimately, we will train in it for sure, but other groups, other sports will train in there as well.
Can you talk to me about the decision to make it pay for play instead of just kind of open to anyone who wants to get to know soccer or
Right.
play soccer that may not necessarily be able to afford it?
Well, we're going to make it, affordable. One thing we'll stress is that it's going to be open to all. So, we're working on creating a foundation as well and making sure that kids have the opportunity. Now, as far as the pay-to-play model, there's a lot that goes into it. There's obviously a lot of costs associated with running this, and we have to, staff, make sure we have enough coaches and whatnot. Would all of us love to see, like around the world, there's different mechanisms of making it completely free. Hopefully one day we'll be able to work our way towards there, because then ultimately we love to develop those kids and give them other opportunities here locally, maybe abroad. But in the short term, it will be pay to play. But again, there's going to be mechanisms in place to make sure that the kids have the opportunity to participate with us.
Have y'all looked at, scholarships or businesses paying for, maybe someone from a West End?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we're looking at every option, and that's obviously a big piece of this. And that's what I want to continue to stress, is that kids who deserve these opportunities will receive them. You know, we don't want finances to get in the way, but there is a model that, you know, again, we have to help fund it. But we're looking at every different option, whether it's foundations, sponsorships, you know, different ways of making it affordable for all.
How often are going to be the tryouts?
The tryouts? The first one, again, in probably middle of May, will be for a week. And then after they have the local state cup with the local youth clubs, that usually ends last week of May and then the first week of June. We want to make sure that we have enough opportunities in tryouts to give the kids the right exposure and the opportunity to be seen by the staff.
Like your, say, average European academy, and how will it be different?
Well, I think, you know, from a training side of it, from a facility side of it, we expect it to be just as good as anywhere else in the world, quite honestly. The facility that, you know, that James and Brad have been working on, and with the input from Coach Hack and for everybody, one thing we have here, which is really unique and I'll put us up with anyone in the country, is our staff. And I say staff, everyone from Brad to obviously Coach Hack to James to, you know, the people we're going to be hiring, we're as good as anyone in the country. So what we can promise you is from a training side of it, it'll be absolutely first class, as good as European models or South American models. At the flip side of it, which is different here in the US and it's slowly changing, obviously, that the investment side from the first teams make it, you know, free for those kids. Now it's a long-term business model that I think we would all love to see, is, you know, one day when it'd be great that the whole thing is free, and then you're talking about, you know, transfers, and on the global scale, it's a really big opportunity for us, and I think we're at the forefront of it. But for sure, from a training side of it, one thing I know is, again, with the staff we have and the facility we have, they will receive good as training as anywhere in the world. I'm 100% confident in that.
How many spots would be available during these tryouts?
Yeah, it depends on the age group. The little kids right now play 9 versus 9, then it goes, you know, it moves up, 77, 99, 11 11, so it really depends on the age. And that's something where those little details, you know, will be worked out, but it'll be appropriate per an age. Yeah.
And then I know Mr. O'Connor was talking about coming from an academy system. Can you just reiterate the benefits of that?
Yeah, so, you know, from our academy, again, the benefit is being in-house and training, you know, daily next to the pros. I give, you know, Coach Hack, you know, he's been on the forefront here in the U.S. from his time with under 17s, what he did with the Philadelphia Union. We're very fortunate, a first-team professional coach that 100% supports what we're doing. So we've had kids on numerous times training with the first team. Before the first team went to Florida for preseason, I think one of the trainings, we had 5 kids training with the first team. And that's a credit to Coach Hackworth, and I know when James is building, you know, the staff for the women's side, it's something that they're stressing as well for these young girls coming through the opportunity. So, you know, part of this is going to be that when we talk about a pathway, is that these kids every day can see truly what it's like to become a professional player, and they'll be literally walking down the hallway next to these professional soccer players. They'll be on the field with them. They'll be there living with them, so they understand what it takes to become a professional player.
Who's got the best academy in this country right now, and how long is it going to take to catch it?
I think give me 48 hours, we'll catch whoever it is. No, it's been a lot of organizations that have done a good job. You know, the MLS model right now is a lot different than the USL model. But I think if you look at the USL side of it right now, San Antonio has done a great job. North Carolina has done a great job as well. I think the USL, we're, you know, obviously as an organization, as a league, you know, we're a lot newer than the MLS, so we're actually gaining ground quickly. At the USL Academy Cup we had recently down in February in Florida, that it was a really good representation of what the USL is attaining to get to and the goals. But right now, look, you know, again, there's a lot of MLS clubs doing it well. I would like to believe shortly that, you know, we'll be right there with them.
How of Louisville? I mean, 6 years ago there wasn't a soccer team at all.
Right.
They've embraced it so much that now we're going to start breeding these young kids to grow up and be champions too. How proud of you are?
Well, you know, Coach Hack, James, and Brad alluded to it. We have to give so much credit to the ownership group. Their vision from day one was to make this a club, and I know Wayne and Teresa, Stefano, I mean, they've been absolutely amazing. You know, I know Wayne's vision was always to make this a club. And now we're there. I mean, again, I go back to the success of the men's team. We have to remember a lot of this is due to the success James had, Coach Hack has had, making the men's team literally the best in the country. And with that, now it's brought, you know, a lot of financial resources to this. And then you build this stadium from the Lynn family. And now, look, again, I've lived here now I've moved a lot because of coaching. This is our home now as a family. We have 4 kids. So I'm looking at this as a soccer coach, but also as a dad. I have 2 girls, 2 boys. They all play, and right now they're so ecstatic about what's going on. Whether my kids make it or not, that's not the point. They now have an opportunity to pursue professional soccer here locally. There's been a lot of kids that have left the Louisville area that have gone on and done well, but now in-house, in our community, we're giving these kids opportunities. How many kids make it? Time will tell. But again, now I think in life what we all want is opportunities, and we have that. And so again, I think it's been a beautiful project for all of us to be a part of, and now we just got to continue to grow it and nourish it.
Do you think it will only drum up more soccer? I mean, we have the slugger, we just heard arena football returning.
Right.
But with the younger people starting, we're gonna have the crazy moms and dads out there, aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
Do you think that's gonna really spread the soccer fever through not just Louisville, but southern Indiana, this area?
100%. One thing, we've been meeting with a lot of the local groups, everything from recreation soccer groups to club groups. Every one of them are telling us their numbers are up. I just did a coaching clinic for Highlands Youth Soccer Recreation yesterday, and they told me they're 30% up. Clark County on the Indiana side, right now their spring's kicking off. They have the biggest numbers ever. Southern Indiana, biggest numbers ever. So I think what we're seeing is, I think it's becoming real for our kids. And that this, again, I go back to the success of the men's team, seeing this stuff being built, it's made it real, it's tangible. The kids can feel it. And now there's kids have great options, whether it's volleyball, soccer, softball, baseball, whatever it is. There's legitimate options. When myself, Hack, when we grew up, we joke all the time. I mean, we were junkies, and soccer junkies in the sense that we loved the sport. We had to go pursue it. You had to go find it. Whether that was on TV or the professional game. But now it's in our backyard. And so again, to your point, I think now it's great that we have tons of options for kids, and now we're one of them. Again, I like to think that we'll be the best option, okay, but we're absolutely one of them, and it's very, very exciting times for us.
And that's what I was gonna ask next, is just for parents who watch this tonight on the news and they're like, should my son be in club? Should he maybe be considering, or daughter,
Right.
considering this? Who would be considering academy versus just a club team or a school team?
Well, I think it's open. It's not for us to say who's should be considering it. Obviously the tryouts will dictate and ultimately who makes these teams. But I think any kid that has ambition should pursue it. I mean, again, whether that's with us or just playing the sport in general, I think I want to make sure to stress that everyone should pursue it. Ultimately, I think what we do strive to be is the top end of youth soccer, and again, developing kids that have those high aspirations. There's a time commitment to it, to pursue your goals. Again, no different than being a musician, doing well in your studies. It takes time and it takes commitment. Who should pursue it? What I would say is everybody should pursue it. I mean, just as coaches and as players we pursued everything with everything we had, and I expect these kids that they should pursue it. If people ask, hey, is my kid good enough? Look, without seeing them on a daily basis, we can never tell, and that's the tryout process, and it'll be evolving. Again, there's other great youth clubs here in the area, I want to stress, that have done a great job, that have helped build soccer in this community, and we want to make sure everyone understands that. There's a lot of good partners here. So what we're saying is it's open, tryout time. We hope there's a good turnout and people want to be involved. It's always tough in tryouts, like anything in life, because ultimately, if you have 100 kids show up and you can only pick 20, that's tough. I mean, that's tough for everybody. But again, there's other options available. And what we want to see ultimately is what Brad said, we just want to see soccer grow in this community. And part of soccer growing in this community is kids gain opportunities at the highest level, that they don't have to leave and travel to different parts of the U.S. to pursue their goals.
Any more from Mario? Great.